Hey guys, it's Kate, and I hope you're having a great day. I wanted to come on and kind of chat a little bit and show you a couple things, and then I don't know, we'll kind of play it by ear today because I actually didn't really plan this video, but I wanted to come and say hello. So I've been playing around with these stamps some more, and I actually just got done painting some collage papers, and I've got a little bit of wet paint still. But I've been having a heck of a fun time with these stamps. Now, a couple of these are a little bit damp still, but I worked with some the lime and princess pink, which I just love those colors together. They're just so bright and cheerful. If I can keep my stuff on the table. But I did my little washi tape stamping on these two, and I kind of just did opposites on the colors. And I also used my little triangle stamp to make this one. And this one is just with my brayer, and I have kind of a nice little crease here because I'm working on just copy paper, so it's really thin, but it holds the paint pretty nicely, so I like that. And I made 9 altogether, actually. This one was just with my silicone tool, and I just kind of made little dabs. And then this one, I made stripes, and then I made some lines in it with just the edge of my silicone. This one is just sort of, I don't know, we'll call it tic-tac-toe pattern. And let's see, I've got 2 more. I did 9 altogether. This one was with probably my favorite stencil that I made in that video. So it's this one here. It's like little donuts and dots, but I love the sort of organic looking shapes here. And so this one was a lot of fun to do too. And then this one was also my brayer, but I didn't have too much paint on it. And you can also see some of the white kind of coming through from the background. So these were all really fun papers to do, and they all go together. So I'm not entirely sure what I want to do with them yet, but I've got several here to kind of have fun with, and they all coordinate. So that's pretty nice. And so I was exploring YouTube and I stumbled into the magical world of junk journals. I have done art journals and, stuff like that, but I've never done a junk journal. And I am trying my hand at making my very first one ever. And I found this really cool image. It's an old poster, and I kind of did like a cat theme. I don't know. Scampy's been running around, and I love my little kitty. But for this, you know what? I'm going to move this just so if there's wet paint on it, I don't get it on this. But I broke out the sewing machine. I did some craft paper. This is a cookie box that I made the cover with. And I am just so tickled with how it turned out. Now, the only thing is I did account for the spine, but I have just a little bit of cracking here. I scored my paper and everything, but when I put everything together, I think I need to reinforce these corners because they're not going to last if I don't. But I just did my paper cutter. This is a sheet from a scrapbooking book, and then I glued in a couple little pockets here so you can put some things in them. And this is paper that I made. So this is from a craft sheet. This I made myself, and then I also sewed around the edge to sew the cardboard and the paper stock together. So this is going to be my cover, and there's Scampy right now. I'm going to put up an image of the cover sheet so you can see it, or maybe I did already in editing. But these are just a few little offcuts that I'm going to use to make some, I don't know, little embellishments or something. And I pulled this out of my magazine. So my color scheme for this is going to be like browns, creams, and reds, as you can see. But This one is from those paper packs that you get at the Dollar Tree. They have some really awesome paper in them. So this one even has like little flower petals or something in it. And this is almost like a handmade paper look. And then I've got some of these little offcuts. I pulled an envelope out of the magazine. This is like a business reply envelope, and I painted on it so I can put it in my little journal. And then I made a whole bunch of other papers. So I found some authentic vintage images and like some old artwork that is in the public domain now. And so I actually printed some of these out and I designed them in my editing program on my computer and kind of put them together. And then I left some room for writing, and I just love how this is sort of coming together. And like I did the lines and the shapes on this digitally, but on the back side of all of these, I actually painted. So this whole thing is handmade. Here's another cat artwork. This one, I just kind of left myself some room to edit. These I just put together using real materials on my computer. And so I printed them on my printer so they look nice. And so when all of these are folded in half, there'll be 4 pages. And so you can see the reverse side here and then my main page. And I just have been having just a heck of a time doing this. So I wanted to share it with you. This is another page I did. This is a magazine sheet that I put some inks and paints on. And here's another. I love this coloring, so I'm going to stick these in there. And then these are all hand-dyed. So these ones I actually did myself, not on the computer. So this is hand-dyed paper. And I did a few sheets of this to kind of mix in to my signature. And then this is hand-dyed or splashed mixed media paper. So I'm going to flip over my pile so you can see all the painted pages too. Okay, so some of them are pretty simple, and I'm going to add some more to them, but I'll just do a quick little page through. And I just kept it all to my color theme, so it's going to be nice. And I added a nice pop of yellow and a couple too. And then this is actually that other stamp I made. I broke it out. This is just hand-painted circles, but I love that line stamp, and that's what I used on a lot of these. And actually, here's that circle stamp. And so I've been using these a ton. I need to make more that are different so I can just kind of grab them. But they've been a lot of fun to use. So I don't know. I can't wait to see what this looks like when it is finished. And then I can start, I don't know, doing something else with it, or maybe making another journal. But it's an awesome way to use up all these sort of random papers I have. And it lets me be pretty creative with the pages. And I'm also working a little bit in a boundary, you know, with either choosing my theme or my color choices or whatever. This is the first cover I've ever made, and I'm just so happy with it. That's pretty cool. Anyway, this was, I don't know, I can't stop just going on about it. So I had a lot of fun with this. We'll just leave it at that. And I'll probably come back with some updates. I want to make some more pages with this though. And so I have a couple of vintage songbooks that are just music pages that I like to use for collage. But I have never actually tried dyeing them. And I thought that that might be something kind of fun today. And by dyeing, I just mean really simple. I have like my acrylic inks and stuff like that. For this project, if I'm going to use them in my junk journal, I want everything to be water resistant, so I don't want to use watercolor because if I decide to paint over it later, I don't want to reactivate it. But I do have some acrylic inks and I've got my alcohol inks. So, why don't we make that the video for today? And I will try to do just see and experiment a little bit with dyed paper, and I'm going to keep it with the color scheme for that journal. So let me grab my supplies and I'll be right back. All right, so I've got a few sheets of music. We have The Blonde Sailor and Till the Lights of London Shine Again. Wonderful songs, I'm sure, but I'm going to try to dye these. So I'm going to use some of my alcohol inks that I make and also a couple of my acrylic inks. So I've got magenta and sepia here, and I'm going to keep with my color theme for my journal so I can make a few pages to tuck in there. And so both of these are folded songbooks. I just tore them in half because my journal is about this size. So when I fold each of these sheets in half, they'll make 4 pages basically. And so I'm going to just start with the first one. I think what I'll do is have a couple that are alcohol and a couple that I'll try with the acrylic ink. So this one, I think what I'll do first is give it a bit of a spray with water. And I've got a couple. I've got like my spritzer one and I've got my continuous mist. I'll start with the mist and I'm just going to wet this down. And it probably will curl because it's just plain paper. And I actually don't know if any of the printing will smear at all because I don't really know how they printed song music back in those days. It could be like a water-soluble ink, although it doesn't seem to be moving, so that's kind of cool. Okay, so I've got just a light coating of water on this, and you know what? I might even just give the other side a quick spray also, just to get it nice and damp on both sides. All right, so I've got it here. Let's go with brown. And the spray on these just goes everywhere, but I'll just I have some more paper back here. I'm just going to fold it up to kind of protect a little bit. And we'll do that. Let's get a few dots on here too, some splashes. And maybe I'll also throw some orange on here. I'm just gonna I think that looks pretty cool. And you can still see all the music coming through on the background, which I like. So you've just got some nice dyed paper here, basically. Now I need somewhere to put this thing. Okay. All right, Amazon packaging to the rescue. This is going to be my drying tray. So I'm just going to pick this right up, throw it on my Amazon bag, and let that dry. Okay, so this one, I'm going to do some red, I think, maybe red and orange. And I'm just going to leave it dry. Just protect where I can. So there's some red. It's messy. So I'm going to grab a baby wipe, but I'm not sure there's too much help until I wash my hands. Alcohol ink's a lot harder to get out. But it just, these spritzers, they just can kind of be a little funky sometimes. Certain colors I notice do that. So I still have the red fingers, but we'll just continue. I really like the texture here. I'm going to add some orange just to calm that down a little bit. Just let it soak in. And let's check the other side. So the other side looks pretty cool too. I'm going to add a few extra little sprays here. And this is going to make a nice journal page. And it's just that easy, I guess. But this is sort of expected. I'm going to see what happens with the acrylic ink now, because that's not going to spread quite as much. Actually, the alcohol doesn't even really spread, but it blends really nicely, where the acrylic ink, I don't know, because it's not like I'm working on watercolor paper here, so it might kind of stay put where I drop it, but this is what this experiment is for. And ooh, I don't know if you can see it, but there's these little kind of almost freckles on the paper. I love that. Okay, I'm going to let this dry. All right, I've got my third sheet here. We're going to go with the inks this time. I'm going to give them a bit of a shake. All right, that should be good. Okay, so I think for this one, I'm going to spray. This one, I am going to brush some on with my brush, and we'll just see how it goes. So I'm going to do the fine mist here again. We'll see if this one seems to be pretty sealed also, so that's pretty good. I don't know if all music pages will be like that, but these ones don't really seem to have any bleeding, so that's nice. I'm just kind of spreading it out a little. This paper almost feels slightly waxy, but maybe it's not. It might be my imagination. All right, let's start with the red. Oh, that's gorgeous. Oh, yeah. All right. I'm down with this. Okay. Let me grab some sepia. Okay. I'm going to be a little bit more light-handed with this because it's pretty dark. So I'm going to kind of keep this right on the paper, but I'm going to do some tilting and maybe give it even another spray to help it migrate a bit, because I want to get some good coverage, but also some cool patterns. And maybe I will just take the end of my brush here and just help some of it along and bring it over toward the edges maybe. This is really neat. Okay, I guess we're doing sort of painting on this one. All right. This is just some fun play. Just going to dab up a little bit from our puddle we've got going on. But this is neat. All right, let me add a little bit more red in here. I'm just going to add a couple little splashes. I love that. Okay, this, it's not seeping through to the other side, so I would want to paint the other side, but I want to let this dry first because I don't want to mush it all together if I flip it. So this might actually even be a good candidate for acrylic on one side, maybe alcohol on the other. I don't know. What I'm going to do is flip this. I've got another sort of, well, clean is a strong word, but I've got another section right here. So let me throw my paper on here. And on this one, I'm going to do some brushing. So I'm going to grab my little palette that I've got here. And I'm going to flip this a little bit so I can use a clean side. And I'm going to use plenty of water with this paint. And it's not going to be as wet as that one back there. So I'm going to use a wet brush and water down the paint a lot, but I'm not going to put a ton of water on the page. I'm actually going to just leave it dry. So I'm just dipping in my little water jar, and I'm going to start adding some ink to this. And I love those little brush strokes. Now, if you, like, I'm getting pretty watery here. So, the strokes might not all stay, depending on how wet my paper is, I'm sure. I'm just kind of going all willy-nilly. I like this sepia, though. And every time I dip, it's kind of like adding a new dimension of color, but it also seems to be drying fairly quickly. I am also getting a little bit of warping here, which is fine, I don't care, but because the paper isn't sprayed on both sides. So I've got some edge curl. So I'm just going to try to fix that a little bit. All right. Now I'm going to rinse my brush and see about adding a little bit of red to this. And I like how it mixes with that sepia too. I'm just going all over the place. What the heck? I don't mind the brush strokes. I don't want a bunch of like edges though. So I'm just trying to kind of go over and make it look a little bit more natural, I guess. And just going gentle with my brush strokes. All right, I kind of like that side. I'm going to leave that. Now this one I will flip over because I don't have just pools of ink everywhere. And I'm going to give my brush another rinse. And then I'm going to go into red first on this side, and then I can finish it with some sepia. And this red is just a nice little vibrant color. It's got some pigment to it for sure. It's almost looking a little bit pink on the page because it's like a magenta and not a very warm red. But over this sort of antique look background, and once I add the sepia, it's actually going to be toned down a bit, although you certainly don't have to do that. And I think a little pop of this brightness might be okay in that junk journal too, but let's see. I've been enjoying mixing them, so I'm going to do that again. And this darkness is just pretty. I love the sepia. Now I'm just trying to be very random and kind of let my brush go everywhere. So I'm just doing all kinds of different stroke directions. And I want texture on my page and some little pops of that brighter color in there. And who even knows how this will dry, if it'll all kind of blend together. But I think this one is going to dry a little bit more like it is now because it's not got a lot of water moving it around everywhere. All right, I really like this. Okay, I'm going to give it another flip again. You can see, oh, I like that too, where it kind of came up off the cardboard. Boy, all right, let's blot it and maybe flip this one too. Yeah, I like that effect. That's pretty nice. Okay, maybe I will flip the other one. You know what? What the heck? Who cares, right? We're just experimenting. I'm going to give this a flip, kind of push it in to the craft paper here, and then see if I can't get a stamp on this side. Ooh, I don't know if I want to put my fingers in here. You know what? I don't know. I guess I might as well just put my fingers in. And I'm adding dots. So hey, that's pretty neat too. We're just going to have some fun today, right? And maybe I'll do some little finger brush strokes on this. Ooh, I like that. I like that a lot. I love how just textured that is. All right, I'm going to leave this. I don't want to touch that anymore. And I'm going to clean my hands. And then when I come back, we're going to have some dried papers to look at. All right, I'm all back and we are dry. So we've got our 4 sheets all finished. So this is the one that I sprayed the alcohol ink on with no water. And you can see compared to the one that I added over water, it's a lot brighter. Now I did add red to this and I only used brown and orange here, but I still think there's a big difference because I used orange on both of these and this one is a lot brighter. So if you work on dry paper and spray your inks, you might get a result like this, which I love. It's really pretty. And this just happened to be the back page of the songbook, I guess. So there's no music on this side. So it's a nice texture on this side and then some nice texture on this side. So can't lose. This is the one with the water. You can still see the difference. Now, this is the side that I sprayed and dropped. And I did get bleed through, but not really everywhere. It's kind of splotchy on the back, but I like that effect too. And I'll kind of give you a close up here. This is the reverse, and this is the sprayed side. And you can still see those sort of speckly areas, and I don't know if that's to do with some of the water, kind of like how you have a little bit of a resist effect when you do the alcohol over watercolor. So this is a really neat page. I mean, they're all beautiful in their different ways. So this is the one I brushed on. This is the acrylic ink, and I use sepia and the red, the magenta. Here is the opposite side. So this is where I had kind of had all that texture going on where I pressed it into my craft paper background, which is dry now too. But this is the reverse, and this is the main side. And it just had some really nice texture on this page too. Feels really nice and smooth. I did get a ton of warping, but it's got a little bit of waviness to it, but I like that. So it'll give my junk journal a little bit more of a bulky look. And then this is the one that I sprayed on with the water and then added the paint. And then I was touching it and everything else. So this looks really cool. It's a lot richer color. I used more ink on this one, I would say. This is the back where I just kind of wiped it with my fingers a bit, and then I had it kind of squished on both sides with my craft paper. So I really love how both sides turned out, and really all of these papers, I think they just came out really beautiful. They're bright, and I think they're gonna go well in my little journal that's in progress. So I will kind of keep you updated here as I go along, and I hope you enjoyed this video today, simple though it was. But I'm just having a ball with this, so I can't wait to see what this looks like when it's all finished up. I'm just building my pages slowly to go in here, and so we're gonna get there. But this is gonna be, I think, a beautiful journal. So until next time, keep creating.